Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel EK DUM FILMI. Today we are stepping into the dark, stylized world of Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. This isn't just a remake, it's a bold feminist reimagining of the classic Bride of Frankenstein mythos. And after the brilliance of The Lost Daughter, the expectation for Gyllenhaal's second directorial effort was sky high. But as I sat in the theatre watching this unfold, I found myself wrestling with a film that is as brilliant as it is frustrating. A movie that has rock solid ideas on paper but struggles to keep them alive once they hit the screen. The film makes its first bold choice right out of the gate, and it's one that immediately sparked a conflict in my mind. We see Mary Shelley, the original creator of Frankenstein, possessing the mind of a woman named Ida. Now, on a conceptual level, this is fascinating, the author literally becoming the character. However, for a film that beats the drum of bodily autonomy and consent so loudly, isn't it a bit contradictory to start by having a ghost hijack a woman's mind without her permission? It's a genius concept, truly. But when you spend the next 2 hours talking about the sanctity of a woman's choice, that opening possession feels redundant and messy. It undermines the very messaging the film tries so hard to protect. This tension between big ideas and their execution is a recurring theme. But if there is one thing that is undeniably perfect, it is the performance of Jessie Buckley. What she does here is nothing short of God level. It is a deeply visceral, physical performance that demands your attention. From the way her body moves with a strange resurrected stiffness to the chilling way she plays with the pitch and tone of her voice, Buckley completely disappears. You don't see an actress, you see the bride. In my opinion, this is comfortably the best performance of 2026. She is matched and sometimes even overshadowed by Christian Bale as Frankenstein monster. Bale brings a brooding, tragic weight to this creature made of mismatched parts. But here's the irony. In a film meant to be a feminist retelling centered on the female experience, Bale is so magnetic that he actually outshines Buckley in several scenes. That's a strange choice for a director to make, and it slightly tips the scales away from where the focus should be. Despite that, the chemistry between these two is the beating heart of the movie. There is a specific moment I was waiting for, the confrontation where the monster finally confesses that he lied to the bride about her past life. I wanted that scene to breathe. I wanted them to have a raw, emotional fight that lasted for minutes, allowing us to see the cracks in their relationship. Instead, it felt like the film was in a hurry to get to the next set piece. I felt a similar hunger to know more about Ida, the woman the bride was before the stitches. Without that history, some of the emotional stakes felt a little hollow. This scene of almost but not quite extends to the film's portrayal of society. We see a revolution beginning to brew, where women everywhere start adopting the bride's aesthetic, the makeup, the clothes, the defiant attitude. It creates this atmosphere of chaos and anarchy that felt very reminiscent of Joker. Just as Arthur Fleck became an accidental icon for the downtrodden, the bride becomes a symbol for women looking to break their chains. The visuals of the bride revolutions are incredibly cool, but again, the film barely lets us taste it. It's a sequence that lasts only a few seconds, when it could have been a defining movement of the story. Maggie Gyllenhaal is clearly interested in showing how women are treated as victims in a world designed by man, but the narrative often feels weighed down by its own ambition. This is most apparent in the supporting characters, particularly the detectives played by Peter Sarsgaard and Penelope Cruz. To be honest, the film loses its momentum every time these two are on screen. They feel like extra weight in a story that should have been a tight character study. If Gyllenhaal had trimmed this fat, this movie would have been much more impactful. I did appreciate the small moment where Penelope Cruz shows her detective badge, a nice nod to the idea that a woman can hold authority and represent equality. But it wasn't enough to justify why her character needed so much screen time in an already crowded film. Visually, however, this film is a triumph. It is breathtakingly beautiful, carrying a similar aesthetic weight to this year's Wuthering Heights. The production design is meticulous, and the black smile on the bride is an image that will likely become iconic in film history. The music too is phenomenal, especially during an electric dance sequence that felt like the movie finally found its pulse. I also love the small symbolic details, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character having one leg shorter than the other. It's a subtle touch that reinforces the film's themes of bodily autonomy and the beauty of imperfection. Even the violence, which is quite graphic, never feels like it's there for shock value. It feels necessary. a byproduct of the rage and identity crisis that characters are going through. In the end, I'm left in a difficult position. Do I recommend The Bride? I'm honestly not sure. I love the look of it, I love the vibe, and I will probably be talking about Jessie Buckley's performance for the rest of the year. But as a story, the execution feels way too chaotic and the core messages often get lost in the noise. It's a film where the parts are greater than the whole. So here's my final verdict. If you were captivated by those first two trailers, if you loved the music and the visual style, then you absolutely should see this in a cinema. It is a sensory experience that deserves a big screen. But if you are someone who values a tight logical narrative and you weren't sold on the marketing, I'd suggest wait for the VOD release. It's a fascinating mess, but a mess nonetheless. That was the review for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to EK DUM FILMI for more honest reviews just like this. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.